Hello and welcome to Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. I am Colred. I hope you're doing well today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the 2x Ancient Shard event that is coming up this weekend. Now, in just over 24 hours from the time this video drops, there will be a 2x Ancient Shard event. So I'm going to walk you through some considerations around the shards, around this event, rather than just focusing on the pulls. So there are things that you can do now that can help you get ready for tomorrow. And there are also things that you can do in advance of any 2x Shard event to get your account ready for an influx of new champions and potentially some champions that you really want to build. This is always an exciting event, especially for early and mid-game accounts. As you can see, my new account here is at level 50, and my editor son and I are super excited for this Shard event. I hope you are too. Let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to share to you free-to-play players is the number of Ancient Shards that I have collected. I have 65 Ancient Shards. Now, I have not pulled since the last Ancient Shard event, so it has been 6 weeks, in fact, since the last time I pulled Ancient Shards. You just saw that I was account level 50, so this is a rough estimate of how many shards you can be expecting every 6 weeks. It's around 10 or so a week. Now, my editor's son is at the exact same point in the game. He started his account the same day I started this account. He's a few levels ahead of me because he has put more energy into campaign. And I have a few more Ancient Shards than he does because I put a little bit more energy into dungeons. And you can get Ancient Shards as rewards from dungeons. So I think he has around 52 or 53 shards, and here I am at 65 shards. Again, RNG does play a role, but an average of 10 Ancient Shards per week should be manageable even relatively early in the game. If you've been pulling shards as you've been getting them, you may not realize exactly how many shards you have pulled and how big of an opportunity a 2x event is. So if we go ahead and look at the drop rates here, the drop rates for both the legendary and the epics will be going up for this 2x event. That's what the 2x means. Double the chance of an epic, double the chance of a legendary. So I'm going to be going from a 0.5% chance to a full 1% chance on legendaries, but the bigger bonus actually for an early game or mid-game account can often be the epics. Going from an 8% chance of an epic to a 16% chance of an epic is a big gain. I could potentially pull 4 or 5 more epics than I would during just 1 times regular chances. Now, there are a bunch of things that happen when you pull so many shards. One, you get a lot of champions that you can't use, and those become chickens. They're all going to be 3-star chickens at least. And then the other thing is you can potentially pull a lot of champions that you're not ready to build yet, especially if you're in the early game or early mid game. You just don't have the resources. If you pull a legendary and 3 really good epics, what are you going to do? So we're going to talk about some things you can start doing today to just get prepared for the scenario of pulling so many shards. The first thing we want to look at is our champion pool here. You can see that we only have 100 roster spots. We have 82 champions. So I want to go take a look at my roster and my vault, clean out any champions that I don't need or don't want hanging around, and maybe expand my overall roster. Also move some of those champions into the vaults if I'm not using them. Okay, here is my roster, and as you can see, I have several champions that are in some state of advancement, but I don't use most of these champions. I also have a bunch of food champions here that are either sitting at their max level and need to be promoted, or they are on the way up. I also have just a lot of trash champions. I don't have that many mystery shards, so I do run up some common champions to level 10 to be able to get 2-star chickens for my uncommons. So I don't necessarily just want to throw these away, but I may want to use them now to start clearing some space. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my vaults and see if I have any space there. And I do, in fact, have plenty of spaces in my vaults for champions that I'm not using. So I'm going to start transferring champions right now, and then we'll come back and talk about the next step. Okay, so I've moved a lot of champions into my master vault and reserve vault. In fact, I bought 10 additional spaces in my master vault to make sure I could get as many champions in there as possible. Now, you can't move champions who are geared into your reserve vault. So I've moved any champions I'm just using for faction crypts into my master vault if they've got gear. So as you can see, some of these champions have gear, and so I can't put them in the reserve vault. But I don't use them on a regular basis, so they really belong in the vault. They shouldn't be cluttering up my roster anyway, unless I'm going to be building them out or promoting them or doing something of that kind. So here they go. They're in the vault now. My reserve vault, I basically put all food champions in there. So anybody who's going to be turned into food later on, I can put in the reserve vault for now. I'm probably not going to use up too many of these champions today, but if I need some, I can pull them out of here, use them up today, and clean up my roster as well. And that's our next step. So let's go to the tavern. All right, so now I want to start promoting my food. There is a champion training event going on as we speak. So I'm going to be getting extra points for leveling up these food champions. So I'm going to turn my 1-stars into 2-stars and then feed those 2-stars into my level 20s to make some 3-star chickens. Once I have my 3-star chickens, I'm going to go put them in the vault. Okay, now if I wanted to clean up any more space, I could potentially feed these 1-star champions into some of my 2-star champions. Like I could do this and get some more XP and maybe max out this archer, and then I could clear out all of these champions. But like I said, I'm conserving mystery shards right now, so I'm not going to do that today. But if we look at my summoning portal now, you can see I have cleared out almost 50 spots, I think 49 spots. And so now I have close I have 67 spots. So I have more spots open than ancient shards. So I can pull all of my ancient shards without having to clear out space later. If I get more champions in the next 24 hours, I'll continue to do this. I might even add 10 to the roster. In fact, I think I'll do that right now. That shouldn't be too expensive. Okay, so there we are. We've got over 70 spots available. We only have 65 ancient shards. We're going to be collecting some champions in the meantime. But again, having this space available just makes it more fun to go ahead and pull all of your ancient shards. Additionally, we now have some food champions. They are waiting for any champions that we might want to promote during this champion training event. And again, as we get champions from these ancient shards, those are going to be some additional chickens, plus champions we may want to build. So let's talk about that. When we get champions that we want to build, and we get a lot of them, what do we do? What do we do? Okay, so back here in the tavern, the first thing I want to do is I want to check out my books. My skill tomes are incredibly important when deciding who to 6-star next. Now I have 29 rare tomes, I have 9 epic tomes, I have 6 legendary tomes. Now the only legendary champion on my account is Sun Wukong, and he is worth some legendary tomes. But with 65 shards and maybe more this weekend, I might get another legendary champion I want to level up before Sun Wukong. So what's going to happen this weekend is after I pulled my shards, I'm going to make a call on whether or not I'm going to invest these tomes into Sun Wukong, or I'm going to put them onto whatever legendary I potentially pull this weekend. If I get no legendaries, that makes the decision for me. As far as epic tomes are concerned, I could put those epic tomes into my Stagnite right now, and I'm thinking that is highly likely. It is unlikely that I'm going to get a better epic than Stagnite. Stagnite is a top 10 epic in the game, at least non-void epics in my opinion. My Deacon Armstrong is already booked out, so I don't need books for that. But depending on what your account looks like, you may want to consider how many epics you can actually build out. In this case, it is 1 in terms of books. So that's either going to be the epic that I have, or maybe 1 epic that I pull this weekend. Now, as far as my rare tomes are concerned, there really aren't that many rare champions in the game I would consider taking to 6-star. I've already pulled my Frozen Banshee, and I can't pull the Cold Heart because it's not a Void Shard event. So the only rare that I'm really keeping my eye out for is Apothecary. And if I pull Apothecary, then I know I can build him and book him right away if I want. Well, I can book him anyway, but can I build him out? If we look at my chickens, I have no 5-star chickens. I do have a 4-star chicken. And obviously I have some champions that I can turn into 5-star chickens. I'd have to go check my vault to see exactly the status of my food champions. So looking at my vault, I've identified 2 potential 5-star chickens. I have this uncommon setter who is there to be a 5-star chicken. I also have a couple of epics that I don't really care about who could potentially be turned into a 5-star chicken. In my reserve vault, I have Snorting Thug, I think his name is. I really don't care about this champion, and I may be willing to turn him into a 5-star chicken. By the way, it's a really good idea to put any fusion champions that you're holding on to into your reserve vault so you don't accidentally consider them food, or however you want to do it. You can go ahead and put an icon on them. This is a good idea. So for instance, I'm going to pull this champion out here, and even though it has that fusion symbol on the bottom, I can go ahead and just go to this icon here, and then, you know, I have all of these options here, and I could say put a 1 on it. And that'll just give me a visual reminder not to use this champion as a chicken because she is being built for the Raz infusion. An even better option, by the way, is you can go ahead and lock her, right? And that means you will get a notification if you are trying to use a locked champion as a chicken. And so that'll give you another opportunity to not accidentally use any fusion champs while you're leveling people up. Now, the thing I could do for the next 24 hours, and hopefully I've been doing for quite some time before now, is farming up food champions. I don't have enough food champions right now in order to get a new 6-star, but I could at least get a 5-star potentially or some 4 stars. So from now until the time I pull shards, I'm going to be leveling up food. Remember, I'm also going to get a whole bunch of 3-star chickens during the event. So saving up energy for that, not energy here in your counter, you want to make sure this energy is always below the max. But in your inbox, you can save these refills. If you have any other opportunities to get refills in the next day, you can hold on to them so that as soon as you get all of those 3-star chickens, you can start running them through campaign, leveling them up, turning them into 4-star chickens, and then potentially promoting more and more champions. Okay, and finally, one of the best and most important things you can do is take a look at your roster and decide now on a priority list of roles that you need for your roster. So champions can be rated by websites, by tier lists, by your clanmates, whatever. They may say, to you, hey, you pulled X champion, he's so good, you should absolutely build him. But if you have that role covered, that kind of talk can get you in trouble, especially if you're a free-to-play player. You don't need to double up and triple up and quadruple up on the same role. So if you already have your arena nuker squared away, let's say you've pulled a Skull Crown, you built her out, and now you're crushing in arena, and all of a sudden you pull another arena-based nuker, maybe one that's rated slightly better than Skull Crown. Say you pull somebody like Ray. Now, Ray is a great champion, but Ray overlaps your Skull Crown a little bit too much. Now, maybe you need Ray's buff strip, but you probably have Wukong, so you probably don't. So those roles are covered. She is an AoE nuker, you've got Skull Crown. She is a buff removal champion, you've got Wukong. Now, she also brings an AoE freeze, but that's on a really long cooldown. So potentially, she doesn't bring anything new to your count, even though she's a great legendary and she's worth building out. Also remember, how many legendary tomes do you have? So it may be that you want to pass on a legendary like that because it's not bringing a lot of new value to your roster, and because you can potentially use those legendary tomes on a different champion and one that would be more valuable to your roster. So by making your priority list now, by knowing what roles you're looking for and what champions maybe could fulfill those roles, you'll have a compass point. You'll have a true north for once you get all of those new champions and you start getting confused about which champion to build, you can look back at that priority list and say, oh, I really wanted a cleanser for my clan boss team. Or, oh, I was really looking to get a poisoner. Or, hey, I was looking to get a solo champion for dragon so that I could farm up food and farm dragon simultaneously, and that would be really valuable. Or whatever it is that you're looking for. By knowing it now, you're going to simplify the decision-making process after you pull. One last thing to note here is there is a champion chase tournament going on during this 2x event. It is the champion chase that is associated with the Bamboos fusion. Now, even if you're not doing the fusion, you can get some extra rewards during that champion chase. You will be pulling your ancient shards anyway, so it's not like you're trying to avoid those extra rewards. But just in case you get close to a good reward, like maybe a legendary tome, but you're just a few points away, there's another thing to consider, which is that you can go into the shop and you can buy ancient shards in the gem shop. You can get a 3-pack for $270, which means 90 gems per shard. Or you can go and get the big shard pack, which is 11 shards for 900 gems, which is about 82 gems per shard. So this is the best bang for your buck in terms of gems. But this can also get you just enough shards to maybe get over that threshold and collect the next reward in the champion chase. Or if you've just completely missed on the shards that you've pulled and you want a few more opportunities, this is a good place to spend your gems. I know some people don't think it is, but as a free-to-play player, all of my experience in all of the accounts that I've played free-to-play tells me that this is a great place to spend some gems and get yourself more opportunities during a 2x event to get those champions that you want. So if you completely miss, maybe go for another 11 pack or maybe 22, depending on how many gems you have. And again, if you can get to that next tier of reward in the champion chase, that can be additional value there as well. So save up your gems for the next couple of days. Don't spend them on energy. Don't spend them on arena resets or anything else, especially if you're close to the 900 gems. As you can see, I'm at 718. I think I might be able to get there at least before the weekend is over. So even if I can't pull on Friday, I might be able to get 11 extra pulls by Sunday. Okay, that is it. A little bit of a different video, I know, but I wanted to get this information out there ahead of the 2x Ancient Shard event. 2x Ancient, such a good event for early and mid-game players. So if you have any questions about anything else you can do to maximize the value of this event, go ahead and put that in the comments below. I'm looking forward to this event on my new account. I can't wait to see what Sun pulls. I can't wait to see what I pull. I definitely want to hear the stories about what you pull during this weekend. Thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and remember to join us for our live streams on Tuesday and Saturday. Tuesday, we do free takeovers at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and on Saturdays, we do our Noob versus Pro series at 11 a.m. also Eastern time. Thanks so much. I've been Colred, and I will see you in another video soon.